Hidden Object Guru here with some VR titles I sampled recently. As always, the score out of 10 is how interested I am in playing more of them in the future. Shoot! Shoot is the best example I've seen of a problem endemic to VR shooting games: the lack of a gun angle calibration option. I attempted to play this game, which seems like a perfectly acceptable target shooter, but the developers expect me to tilt my hand almost 90 degrees down in order to shoot forward. This is simply unacceptable. There's no reason for a shooting game to not have a calibration option built into the main menu, but this is the first time the lack of one has kept me from playing a game entirely. They need to fix a bunch of stuff before I would consider loading this again. 1 out of 10. 2076, Midway Multiverse. Offering proof positive that nearly every genre is better in VR, this hybrid horizontal shooter VR piloting game is magnificent. Flying a tiny model plane around a huge environment is a transformational experience. No more nasty surprises as planes fly in from off-screen. Players can just look left and right to see enemies as they approach, and then use one of their hands to block incoming shots when things get too hectic. There's even a few light puzzle elements and an entertainingly bonkers plot. How good is this game? After playing it, I found out that it was a sequel to a game called 1976, and I immediately went and bought that. 8 out of 10. Unbinary. Set inside a computer simulation, at least at first, Unbinary puts players in the role of an AI attempting to test a virtual construct. This involves solving environmental puzzles and following the instructions of an arrogant computer program. If that sounds a lot like Portal, the comparison isn't unintentional. Cute robots, 3D platforming, a decent sense of humor, it's charming, and the cell shading looks fantastic in VR. 7 out of 10. Core Disruption. Hover tanks are always a delight. All of the firepower, none of the movement restrictions. I loved it in Rebellion's Battle Zone, and Core Disruption is doing the same basic thing in a more grounded and realistic setting. There's nothing but deathmatching at the moment, so I can't say much for the gameplay, but the core mechanics are solid and it looks great. So once they get around to adding missions, bots, and the like, I'll be happy to check it out again. 6 out of 10. Super Runner VR. More of an experiment in locomotion and virtual physics than a game. Super Runner takes players through a series of obstacle courses where they can climb, shoot, swing, and slide to their heart's content. The physics work impressively well, but there are a few hitches that interfered with my enjoyment of the game. First, the game expects players to be able to turn freely, especially in the climb with a crowbar sequences. Second, the swinging is beyond awkward. The momentum never feels natural, so I wound up just climbing to the top and going hand to hand. Most crucially, however, the jumping is beyond awkward. Instead of simply having the player jump when players tap a button, the game tries to simulate the player crouching and then springing up. It makes jumps so difficult to time that I wound up quitting the game entirely. A worthwhile experiment, and if they polish the movement a little, it could be wonderful. 5 out of 10. I Fetch Rocks. Wow, this thing is a delight. I've been playing a bunch of Rings of Saturn lately, so imagine my surprise to find out that there was another game about asteroid mining that was gonna blow me away. Maybe rock mining is just my thing? Anyhow, I Fetch Rocks gameplay consists of 2 separate parts. The first is using an array of switches and levers to pilot a spaceship using brutally realistic physics. It feels perfect and is unbelievably satisfying to control. Then there's the other half of the game, which is about building circuits and replacing items to keep the ship running. Parts that wear out so quickly that it defies all belief. This couldn't interest me less, and I found myself hating every second I wasn't piloting the ship. It's obviously a great game. I just hope as early access on Steam continues, the developers continue adding a mode that focuses more on piloting and less on the maintenance. 7 out of 10. Slotracers VR. This offers exactly what's on the tin, a variety of slot racing courses for the player to compete on. The controls are exactly as basic as one would expect. Pick a car, put it on the track, then press a single trigger to control the speed. The entirety of the gameplay is finding the right cornering speed for each course, and then switching between that and high speed on the straightaways. Because this is all virtual, the player can teleport around the room, even standing inside the tracks to allow them to watch the race from any angle they choose. The courses themselves are resolutely realistic. Each one looks like something a real hobbyist could have built, giving the whole thing a more grounded feel than I was expecting. If you're looking for slot racing in VR, this has everything you need, other than realistic collision when two cars hit each other. That always looks a little off. 6 out of 10. Skiing VR. This should be a wonderful experience. The skiing feels natural, using poles to speed up and leaning to turn works great, the environments are eye-catching, and there's both day and night versions of each of the game's 4 courses. Why aren't I recommending it more vociferously then? Well, they left something out when they were making the game. I couldn't find any way to manually turn when I wound up stopped. There are courses with hairpin turns at the bottom of steep hills, and it's literally impossible to lean far enough to the side to avoid running straight into a wall. Even the AI racers were doing it. Players can only lean to turn when moving, and with me stuck facing a wall, I found myself trapped, unable to do the most basic thing a skier must learn, how to turn in place before they actually start skiing. This is an easy fix, of course. They just have to add a rotate command to the thumbstick that doesn't work when the player is moving above a certain speed. Once that's done, I'll encourage anyone looking for an ultra-casual multiplayer skiing experience to try this one out. 5 out of 10. That's it for this week. I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for watching. If you hadn't yet, please like and subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons Marissa, Eduardo, Brian, and Joanne. I'll see you back here once I've played some more games, but until then, au revoir.